I've been asked this a few times. What is better, the sweeper or the rooster? Okay, so the first thing we're going to have a look at is the rooster. Let me play it for you now. We're going to have a look at some different options that you can do. So the first thing we're going to look at is a rooster run at speed, and you simply just beat them short side. But what I will say before I start anything else is both of these plays are designed to put you in a situation where you are a middle, you end up as a middle, and you are faced in front of the toucher who is offside. That is the foundation of, I've said it a few times, that's the foundation of touch football moves. You want to be attacking offside players. The player that's most offside is the one that makes the touch. And however you can manage to do that is probably already got a name in touch football. But these are the two most popular ones. This originally was called a bump and run. And I don't know where the term, I think I was actually told where the term rooster came. I've forgotten. But in New Zealand and around in Europe, they call this the 32 peel because the 3 is going down for the 2, and the 2 will peel around the back of the person running that rooster line, which is here. So let's go through the rooster once, and then we'll talk about the benefits and some things that aren't great about the rooster. Okay, so we've got the middle going down for the link, the 3 going down for the 2. This guy's going to be running at the offside player with the dummy half wrapping around. So let's play through. Play through. I should make that a running gag. You can see he gets the ball here. This toucher has seen the pass go back to the open side, so he's flipped his hips to face the open side. Number 6 here has seen that, and he is going to change his angle straight away to attack the short side because he's most vulnerable there because his body's turned the wrong way. His body turns towards the open side, so you're vulnerable to where basically your back is turned to, which is a nice identification there, and he just full throttle beats him on the short side. Simple rooster beating on the short side. This one here, we have the same setup. It's a little bit pixelated. I apologize for that. But there's the dump. Here's the peel. And this time, this guy hasn't turned his hips. He's not giving up the short side, but the gap between those two middles is a little big, and he will dive through the middle after a little dummy. This one here, we have again the middle going down for the link. Here's the peel. Again, here's the offside player. He's turned his hips to the open side once again, which is not advisable. You would just put the gas on there and catch him wrong-footed. However, with this case here, this guy becomes flat-footed. He's getting tight. He's covering that dive that was a try on the last video, so he's making sure that that's not an option. But now, this player here is faced with a 4-on-3. So if this guy shuts, this guy will have to shut here, and that's just the overlap that you will get from running a rooster if you play on the open side. So it's a nice little release there. Now it becomes a 3-on-2, and they just go through the hands. So looking at that one more time. So obviously, if you're the ball player on the rooster, you can turn to, if you beat the player making the touch, that's also something that's got to be very clear. You need to beat that person making the touch before you even think about passing the ball. Beat that guy. And when you do, let's just say you've beaten them, then you've got options. You can rip a pass to the link. You can throw it all the way over the top to the winger, or you can give it short. You can run all the way into the line before passing it short, and they punch through the hole to score. But this is the little quick release play, which is very beneficial because if you, I'm just going to get rid of these arrows. If you wrap around and then go at speed and get that little release, early release, you're at a basically a 70% sprint, and your defender that's in front of you is flat-footed. So you've already got the jump on them then, which is what happens here. And by the time they get the ball, that's too much ground to cover, having only just started your run, and now it's a 3-on-2. 1-2, 1-2, but you also have your attacking winger off the field. So a quick release is a variation that is actually really popular. If you watch the Men's Open Trans-Tasman Series from 2025, Australia run that play to death. They run that play all the time, but if it's at speed, it works so well, and they just beat New Zealand with this play. Obviously not every play, but it was probably the most popular play out of everything beyond just a two-man quickie. And what Roosters also let you do is if you have tight middles, you can, yes, run that quick release would work just fine, but you also have this controversial one here called the Red Rooster. And you can see this player's gone to shut down what he thought was going to be the Rooster runner, but he's run around the back. And now this is the link trying to shut down in the middle, and it's an easy 3-on-2. So he passes, or he just runs into the in goal. So Roosters. Okay. The benefits of a Rooster is, I would say, it's one of the easiest moves to set up. There's not a lot of movements before the play the ball. I'm just going to use this one as an example. There's not a lot of movements. You can see that they're just sort of standing still. All you need is a dump, a dummy half, and a runner. The dumper goes out, the dummy half gets around, and the runner runs at the toucher. It's a very, very simple setup. The idea is speed. You just run it at speed, and you delay the pass as long as you can, unless you're running that quick release. The downside to that is if someone was to do... Look, there's not a lot of downsides to it. That's why it's such a popular move. The downsides to it is if there was a muddle here, this link could drop in, and the middle pulls corner, and then it becomes man on. Another one is because you are going down for your link, that means that this link here could actually be active and try and knock off this touch, with the middle starting to drop back and get onside. So it's actually, it becomes very difficult if you want to attack Queenslanders, because Queensland links are very active. They do a lot of work defending the line. So any sort of defense that's copying off that model, it'll be very hard to effectively do a Rooster without throwing the ball around a lot. And if you are a little bit flat, let's just say this ball is given here. Let's just say you pass the ball, and this is a rush shoot here. Unless you are really deep around that wrap, the shooter can actually probably touch you both. He could probably reach out and touch either one of you, regardless of who's got the ball. And when you do run that deep wraparound, that deep peel, it actually makes the pass a lot harder, because you've got to completely twist your body to get that pass, and you can't see your target. So while the depth is great to make sure that you're away from the ball and you're in the clear, it just does make it harder to get the ball to you. Roosters also, you cannot, well, I've never seen someone run a passive. You have to run a flat link, which just means channel defense can take an intercept. But like I said, the positives definitely outweigh the negatives on this. That is why it's so popular. But let's move on to a sweeper. The other good thing about a Rooster is from this point here, from this platform, you can actually change your angle and run an out ball and just get a rip pass straight to you running on the out. That's another one that you can do if you've got tight middles. So the shape there actually gives you plenty of variety. All right, let's move on and we'll talk about the sweepers, and then after that I will tell you what my preferred move is. Okay, sweeper here. This is the most standard sweeper you can find. That is the middles there. This is done in a drop-off, so that is why you don't see, it looks like that's the link and that's the winger, but this is 4-on-4, so these two are the middles, and that's not, yeah. So just looking back at the how to run the sweeper, is once again, it is a three-man play. You have you have the dumper, the dummy half, and in this case, the sweeper. You will dump on your opposing middle and then split in. That is the most important part. You cannot split the other way because the sweeper will come around and run over the top of you, and there'll be a big collision. And you got to split. You got to split pretty hard. You got to get around this player here. You got to get around that link, because when you think about it, it's like you are swapping spots with this guy. You kind of circling around the dummy half. The dummy half will pop the pass and then immediately keep the distance. And once again, we're attacking that offside player, middle on. Now that is the middle. It's middle on middle. You've got a 3-on-2 on one side and a 4-on-3 on the other side, providing that you do normally have wingers outside you. That's just the way moves work in touch football. And like we saw with the Rooster, this one is just putting on the gas on the short side and just beating them for speed. And a nice little jump. What if he didn't jump? Does he still get touched? We'll never know. So that's the sweeper going for the short side. Here's another example of a sweeper on the short side. You can see we're attacking the toucher, and we just dive underneath. But looking at that platform there, like I said, when you have a 4-on-3 on one side, if these guys shut down, you can step back to the open side and you can fire like you can ball play just like you can on a Rooster. You can throw the long ball over to the wing. You can rip the pass to the link. You can throw it short to your middle. As long as everyone's realigning and doing their hole hitting correctly, that's what you can do. And you can see how tight this guy here is all the way in front. These guys are shutting down. So stepping back and throwing long was an option. I know in this particular game it was raining, so that's probably why he goes at the line. But like, that is a definite option to do. Some more options that you can get on a sweeper is the quarterback, which is, well, it's this. Because you've seen sweepers dive, look how tight this middle is, because he knows he's got to pull corner. So he's got to be tighter. This guy doesn't want to get beat on the short side, which means the vulnerable dive is between the middles. So because that back middle is so tight, now the dummy half will bounce out. So he'll get it here and then immediately pass it straight back, catching this guy off guard against the grain, and all of a sudden he's got to make a reaction. He's got to make a reaction, and you do have an unmarked winger because it becomes a 3-on-2. So you have the quarterback option, which they just go through the hands, which is great. I think that's an awesome option, especially when you're running it. If you run the sweeper at speed, it really makes them move to that one side. And here's another example of running a sweeper at speed and then hitting the other way. But instead of the quarterback pass, instead of the rebound pass, he just takes off from half. So there's the middle going down. He's almost a sprint, that sweeper. And you can see how hard he's pulling corner. This guy should be much closer. But even so, his movement is going this way. His movement is going this way. And the dummy half just gets the jump on them. Like, they're pretty much level with each other. But it's just the standing still, the start with this person already moving. That's the advantage that you get when you're running this. And that is really wide for the defenders. That's really wide. He would normally be in here somewhere. So you would get even more of a head start to get them on the outside. Now, I've got videos both on the sweeper quarterback and this play. You can search them. This one's called about an underrated move, and the sweeper quarterback has just got a picture of a quarterback like in full kit sweeping the floor. So, what would I prefer? Okay, so the Rooster, I will say, is easier. Actually, I will say the Rooster is much easier to learn. It is very, very rarely will you get the wrong middle. Very, very rarely will you split the wrong way. If I was teaching a beginning team, we would almost definitely learn the Rooster first, because the advantages of the sweeper here I think are more options. You do have more options. From this platform, you can run run the dummy half one, like we said. You can run trails, you can run ninjas, you can run all different things off a sweeper. Whereas off the Rooster, you're pretty much limited unless you start looking at 33 peels, which are MLs, or those out balls that we spoke about, and then you incorporate like splitters. But they're different moves. Whereas this same platform here, I think you can have a lot of variety to. But like I said, it's gonna be hard if you're teaching a junior team this, because going down for your link on your middle is actually quite easy. That the other middle will never come that far across. However, in a sweeper, when you've got a middle play the ball, sometimes this other middle likes to get brave and make the touch. And that's just something that's very hard to identify. You can see that on this video that it nearly happens. So you can see here, if this player here goes and makes the touch, all of a sudden now we're sweeping into this guy who could be onside. So it can get a little bit confusing for the dumper if you are doing any sort of middle play, especially with sweeper being on the run. You don't have a lot of time to think about which middle you're dumping on or anything like that. So that can be a little bit more confusing. But sweepers do have more things that you can do from them. So I guess it's like iPhone and Android. The way I say it is, iPhone is the Rooster, Android is the sweeper. iPhone is much more user-friendly. It is easier to learn. It does the job. You're not gonna face any difficulties with it. Android does a lot more than an iPhone, I will admit that, but it can be quite more of a challenge to learn about the phone. I'm an iPhone user, by the way. So if I had an under 12s, I would do the Rooster. If I had a more experienced team like an under 18s, I would focus more on sweepers. But there's a reason these two are the most popular moves in touch outside the quickie, and that's because they work. That's the thing. They work. So if you want to see more about the actual breakdowns of these moves, check out my videos. I've got a good versus great sweeper, and then I've got like a add some salt and pepper to your Rooster and things like that you can have a look. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. Oh, and by the way, the salt and pepper, I know that is another variation of a Rooster because it's got a block line, but the sweeper does the exact same thing. You can also run splitters off sweepers from the exact same platform. You don't have to shift up the dumping or anything like that. Middle dumps just seem to offer more variety than a middle link dump. That's probably the best way to say it, actually. I should have said that before, but I'm not making it again because we're nearly at 20 minutes. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what move you would prefer in your team. Even if you were a player, what move do you prefer to run? I know I would prefer the sweeper because my back hurts. And when I try to be dummy half, I try to give the pass. And then I try to wrap around, it hurts. I need to start stretching. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you at touch.